Hello and welcome. My name is Ryan Darrah. I am a teacher at LT in my 13th year at LT, 22nd year as a teacher overall. Excited to be started, even though we're in a different style with the remote situation. Things are going well. Kids are off to a good start. We've had some good discussion. I've been enjoying getting to know them via those discussions and by reading and responding to some of their writing. Typically with our open house nights, I like to make it a little interactive. So we play an education word game. We can't quite do that in this setting, in this format, but I would ask you maybe through your child to post a word or a couple of words that you associate with, that you want your kids to see as part and parcel of education to our Canvas chat. So one of the things I believe is education is usually best served by being interactive. And that's why I ask them to share their writing and engage in our discussions. And that's why I ask you, even in a remote setting, videotaped open house approach, to interact with me a bit by sharing some of your words. And you can, and then say, hey, look, I participated on Canvas. Make sure you're participating next week in those discussions. We're going to give you a quick course overview, a little sample of a type of lesson, talk about our mission to help our students become better readers, writers, speakers, listeners, and thinkers. So if you're here watching this, your child is probably in my English 3 prep composition course, which is a writing intensive course, semester long. They'll take American literature next semester. Our big focus is to get them writing persuasively, writing artfully in order to make arguments, advance their opinions via writing. We do research-based writing, we do some personal narrative writing, and as I say, we do a lot of argumentative writing, which can sometimes gel those two different genres together, where they can use their own reflections, their own life experiences and observations, along with research that they've done from scholarly sources. And this is a great way to prepare for college level writing for their senior year English classes, and just for the kind of critical thinking skills that are useful in most workplaces and in life in general. As far as a course overview, as I said, those different types of writing, those different genres are our driving points. We do read quite a bit in terms of professional models. We do read a lot of student work and workshop to get feedback from me, from their classmates, and even self-assessment. So one example of that from this past week, I have up on the screen now. We are writing a personal narrative and persuasion essay. Most students are writing about technology and how we live now. They read an article by a young writer named Gia Tolentino, who wrote for the New Yorker magazine a piece called What It Takes to Put Down Your Phone. And hers is reviewing 2 different books by college professors on this topic, but also sharing her own takes, what it was like to come of age as a young writer and use Twitter and other social media sources to advance her career and build an audience, but also how obviously social media and her phone can serve as a distraction and be detrimental to her career. So she takes a kind of nuanced look at it. We ask students to think about their own use of screen technology, or if they feel like that's been played out, they don't want to write about that, they have a choice to pick a different topic. Most students are using the tech approach, but probably about 5 to 7, somewhere there are using a different one. But then they had a draft. I gave them feedback on that draft on that first go. And then we did a writing workshop where we did kind of 3 rounds. So the first round, about 10 minutes, building what we call compare and contrast keyword sentences, where they make a 2-part claim. Although Tolentino has an interesting point about the necessity, the economic necessity for some people to be online in order to advertise their business or advance their writing career or connect with other artists, comma, she fails to recognize, and then you say the other part, you kind of critique a source. So it's a great way to engage with sources. It's a great way to get a more nuanced perspective and a multi-part claim. Then we would share some of those, I'd give feedback, and then we'd go into a second round where they take a passage where I had said, maybe you're a little vague here, you're a little too generic, and they add some specific memories and examples and commentary about their own experiences. So rather than just say, oh, well, screen tech is useful because it helps us keep in touch with long distance friends or family, they could say something a lot stronger than that by saying, for instance, my grandparents are in the Philadelphia suburbs, or I went to a camp and I met students from Ohio and New York and Florida, and I'm still in touch with them at least once a week via texting or Instagram. Getting into those little details, or maybe they say, it's really useful, obviously now with the pandemic, with online learning, and even before that, some of my best teachers in middle school had us do an interactive project that involved, and then they go into detail. Those specific details bring their writing to life, make it a lot more memorable, create a more distinctive voice than just saying a bunch of general truisms that people maybe wouldn't say are wrong, but aren't all that persuasive because they're so vague. And then we did a third round where we showed them some professional writers and the use of parallel structure to create a poetic rhythm. And they would do the same, take a part of their writing and punch it up by making it poetic using parallel structure, which is sort of a repetition. So one of the most famous examples we use is the beginning of Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of times, the worst of times, it was this, it was that. And have them create some little flourishes like that in their writing that are a little more poetic and rhythmic. So by the end of a writing workshop on a given day, they may have, a new paragraph. They may have 5 or 6 different sentences that they can plug in at different times and refine their writing. So we try to give them real concrete skills that are part of the revision process, part of that writing process. They're going to help them get stronger. And ideally, that works the next time they're writing a first draft, and they can do those things from the start. But realistically, writing is a process, and it's the kind of thing that they might have to do again and again. And we definitely afford the time and honor their time by giving them opportunities to do that and learn from others and from their own self-evaluations. So just a little bit of an overview, a little bit of a sample there. And again, as I say, our mission is to obviously focus on writing in a composition course, but to make them better readers, better thinkers, better listeners. And the writing is our focal point for doing those things. Last thing I'll say, try to keep this a little brief, is reach out to me over email if you have a question or a concern about our course or about a child's performance. I would encourage you to encourage them to ask for extra assistance when needed. A 5-minute conference, sometimes, at most 10 minutes, it can make a big difference, not just on a grade for a specific assignment, but sometimes in terms of the whole experience with a course and learning. And therefore, we want to use our morning times or our afternoon times, or if there's a study hall that, we don't have a study hall this year, so that time I can meet with students and set up some writing conferences or some learning conferences. We want to take advantage of that. Thanks for your time. Again, don't hesitate to reach out. We can exchange messages over email, or if it's preferred to set up a phone conference, we can do that as well. Take care, and thanks for listening.